Welcome to the Intrazone Roadmap Pitstop April 2021 edition. This is a bonus monthly show that answers that burning question in your mind. What is rolling out now for SharePoint and related technology in Microsoft 365? I'm Mark Cashman, Senior Product Manager on the Microsoft 365 marketing team, here to help set the ongoing record straight. This month, I talk with Nicole Woon, our lead program manager leading development of the new SharePoint site templates. You'll hear about the 12 new templates Microsoft is making available across team and communication sites, their history from the Look Book at lookbook.microsoft.com into Microsoft 365, and we'll cover all things including how to apply and manage them. Beyond the depth insights for site templates, we'll focus on what landed this month, a few related items, and the always fun teasers for what's coming next month. This podcast is your 30 minutes to kick back and get informed, the goal being to stay ahead of that ever-curving Microsoft 365 roadmap. Before we get into the technology, I want to call to attention a website my colleague Prarthana Sanamani created. It's a comprehensive list of COVID resources across India. You can visit and share www.covidresourcesindia.com. That's www.covidresourcesindia.com. India is experiencing one of the worst outbreaks of COVID cases since the start of the pandemic, and many of our colleagues and friends in India are being greatly impacted. And certainly we wish to amplify this website as a resource for anyone that will benefit from it. And we hope that you consider sharing it if you know anybody that could benefit from it. It's a great initiative. We're grateful that the U.S. government is mobilizing to help. And as our leader here at Microsoft, Satya Nadella, said, Microsoft will continue to use its voice, resources, and technology to aid relief efforts and support the purchase of critical oxygen concentration devices. So please consider sharing this resource and getting the word out for anybody that needs it. Okay, the Blue Jays are zigzag zooming through the front yard, squawking signs of spring here in the United States, which means it's time to get to all the technology that rolled out in April 2021. First up, let us start with employee engagement, that one-to-many conversation that you will have throughout your organization about lots of things, news, announcements. There's a lot of technology to support that type of communication. And this month, we're starting off with a feature that is the Immersive Reader that's coming to SharePoint pages and news posts. The Microsoft Immersive Reader technology, currently you'll see it in Word, OneNote, Outlook, Teams, and other Microsoft apps, will soon be available for SharePoint pages and news posts. The Immersive Reader uses proven techniques to improve reading and writing for people regardless of their age or ability. Viewers of SharePoint pages and news posts will see a button on the page on the command bar, and that will open up straight into the Immersive Reader. Note, in this initial release, the Immersive Reader will only read content contained in text web parts. Next up is audience targeting coming to the events web part. This provides the ability to target specific audiences per event within the SharePoint events web part, meaning you can target specific events to different audiences. This aligns with the in-place options to better personalize your intranet experience for everyone. Knowing about events in your organization is great. Seeing the set of events that are meant for you based on your role, region, and distinct team or org, even better. Next up, SharePoint site templates. This is the new SharePoint release for scenario-based site templates that will help you expand what's possible with content, pages, and web parts while helping you quickly get started building your own site. Each template contains pre-populated content and web parts that are fully customizable to meet the needs of your organization. There are a number of available scenario-based site templates. I'll name a few for communication sites. There's a leadership connections site template. There's a new employee onboarding site template and a few others. And for team sites, you can expect to see the event planning site template, training and development team template, and of course, others. This is a great area of investment. We've seen it both in our customers and what we're doing internally. You can always create your own custom site templates. These are ones that are delivered by Microsoft right at the time of creation. And as you hear when we talk to Nicole, it's also something that you can use even after you've created your site. So without going too much further into it, it's best to hear from the program manager who actually leads all of the development and a lot of the critical decisions behind each feature. So let's take a pause and hear from Nicole Woon all about SharePoint site templates. Alrighty, it is now time to push your chair back just a little bit and listen in as our local and regional and amazing worldwide program manager on the SharePoint engineering team, Nicole Woon, is going to share more about site templates. Nicole, welcome back to the IntraZone.
Thanks for having me.
I think it was just a little bit before the pandemic, January of 2020, where we were talking to you last about next steps, not your next steps, but the next steps, the feature. So since then, I know a little bit about what you've been doing, but I think our audience might be interested to know how everything is going in your world, both maybe a little in life with the pandemic and how you're actually doing, and in work, what you've been focused on since then.
Yeah, it feels like a lifetime ago, and I've been able to participate in a lot of different new features and help push those forward through work. And one thing that we've been doing recently has been a higher craft initiative. And so what that means for us is just having all disciplines feel accountable for the products that they release and really baking in that attention throughout the entire product lifecycle so that we can release just really well-crafted products that hopefully all of you as customers enjoy. And in addition to that, making sure that we've got a bunch of other awesome site level improvements such as site templates like we'll talk about today.
Just in thinking of SharePoint, the product, 10 years ago, and SharePoint, the service, and now the service really being something that gets attention from engineering on a daily basis, the craft is very important. The performance is very important. The timeliness of things that need to be fixed or released based on what we've said. So hearing you describe the focus on craft, I think is a real testament to the value of the SharePoint engineering team being the ones that prop up the service and make it a great experience for end users versus how it was done in the past where you kind of guessed 3 years in advance what we need to do for craft. So I imagine that's a pretty busy part of your job.
Yeah, absolutely. And you hit the nail on the head in terms of the user experience, not just being the interface that people are looking at, but it's really about the entire experience of how performant page web load is or having things be super reliable. So it's all kind of baked together and it's definitely a team effort. We couldn't do it without everyone's commitment across the teams.
Just before we get to talking about the actual technology that released this previous month, I want to know a little bit of the history of where it came from. We know ideas come from our customers, our partners. Internally, obviously, we think of new and innovative ideas, but this one had a kind of a particular launching point that had its own name, and in fact, it has its own website externally. But can you share a little bit of the kind of history of templates through the lens of the SharePoint Look Book?
Yeah, that journey actually only started a few years ago, so that also feels relatively recent. At Ignite 2018, we had a customer that ended up coming up to one of our design managers and they were talking and the customer mentioned that they loved all of the sites that the SharePoint team was using in our demos. And they were wondering if we actually had them available for customers to reference later on. And so that's where the inspiration for the SharePoint Look Book came from. And just a couple months after that, our design team put together the first iteration of that lookbook. It started as a PDF. And then a couple months after that, that's when we started out with the website version. A year goes by, and in 2019, we were actually able to superpower that experience with PNP, or our patterns and practices provisioning. And so that allowed people to actually visit the lookbook, hit a button, and then be able to provision that site directly into their tenant. So after introducing that capability, our team just started investigating how we could actually bring in some of our most popular lookbook templates into the site creation experience. And we wanted to make it just super easy for people to apply a template to their site, get some inspiration to see what was possible with SharePoint functionality out of the box, and then be able to personalize their site a lot more quickly. And countless customer conversations, user research studies, design and engineering work hours later, here we are.
I think it's a great place to be. And just a note to our audience, we've had Vesa Juvonen on the IntraZone before, and one of his peers and one of Nicole's peers, Matt Wolodarski. And collectively, I think everything that Nicole just walked through, the SharePoint Look Book, the PNP technology she referenced, that's from Vesa and team from a developer's perspective. And Matt Wolodarski, who I think is just right on the cusp of everything you're now putting into the product is helping design a lot of the new sites that I've been seeing that we've been rolling out from the lookbook. If we really get into this next milestone that you've hit and started to release, if I understand correctly, the lookbook is now in product.
Yeah, so we've picked out some of the scenarios that were most popular or most heavily used, and that's what helped inspire us in terms of the templates that we wanted to build in product. So, for example, let's say that you needed to have a new SharePoint site for a new project that you're working on, where you're tracking deadlines or recording progress and need to collaborate with your team. Or maybe you're working on a onboarding site to help onboard new hires and have that key information there to get started. Hopefully with site templates, we're able to make that a lot smoother and an easier process for you to boot up and begin personalizing it to your needs.
What are the things that people can expect when they use site templates?
So depending on what template you end up selecting, you'll see a variety of different things that have been added to the site. This includes having a fully customizable homepage, and we'll have it pre-populated with content and web parts that you can either change up or kind of leverage as is. We also will add pre-built pages, lists, and document library folders that help make it easy to inspire your own custom content and give you a structure to start out with. And then we also we'll add news post templates that can help your users just quickly author pages and different news posts so that you can get started on the right foot. And so for our communication sites, we have 4 different scenarios that we've built for. And for our team sites, we also have 4 different scenarios. Starting with our communication sites, we have a department template, which helps people engage with department news and resources. We have our leadership connection template, and that helps build community by connecting any of the leadership team with various members in the org. We have our Learning Central template, and this will help you showcase learning and training opportunities. And then we have our new employee onboarding template, and that allows you to just streamline any of the new hire onboarding processes. And then from the team site template perspective, we have our event planning one, which helps you coordinate and plan event details, project management, which helps you create and collaborate with your project team, training and courses, which can be used by course participants for any learning opportunities, and then our training and development team. So if you're on the back end helping plan those opportunities to help others learn and grow, gives you a chance to collaborate there. In terms of how to actually apply a template, it's very easy. You can apply it as a site owner either at the time of site creation, or you can apply it to an existing site. And the gallery is always accessible if you go ahead and navigate to the settings icon, the gear icon in the suite navigation, and then select apply a site template. So if you've also created a new site and it's your first visit to that site, you may see a dialog that also asks you if you want to use a template. So you kind of know from the beginning and can start on the right foot. Once you're actually in the template gallery, there is a chance for you to preview all of the templates that are available for that particular site. And you can then preview information about each of the individual templates, so you kind of know what you're getting into and what would be added through that template. And then actually applying the template just takes a matter of seconds. And from there, you can start customizing it to fit your needs. And we also have a bunch of great support articles to help support you in getting started. So each template has its own customization guidance to begin on the right foot.
Once things are established, and this might be a question about a site admin or even a more parent-level administrator, what are some of the admin considerations that people should know about?
If you've used site designs in the past, that experience has actually been incorporated into the site templates experience. And so we'll be referring to those as site templates moving forward. If you've used the site designs entry point previously from the settings panel, that can now, again, be incorporated into the template gallery. So you'll see a tab in the gallery experience that says from your organization. So any of your existing site designs will be present there. And then additionally, as part of that new site template experience, there is a progress screen that's displayed. And so you'll be able to see that and track the progress as the site template is being applied, as opposed to the notification bar that used to show up earlier.
I think one of my favorite things, and I've heard this as feedback, not just as a personal thought, that there's this really amazing notion of if people, weren't quite aware of some of this work, they really thought of, I create a site and then it is what I get. Of course, I can change web parts and whatnot, but really it's the site template is then locked. What I love about this technology that carries forward with what we introduced with site designs is exactly what you said. You can establish it at the point of creation, but you can change it or adapt a different template later on, but without having to create a whole new site. I think that's just amazing. And again, the history of SharePoint really leads into that's really amazing. But to hear that, and that's still applicable with these new templates, I think that's going to be really, really valuable.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think for us, we are really excited to bring it to our customers, get that feedback, hear how you've been using it in your environments, and just continue to build and grow the experience.
So you said the magic keyword feedback, which makes me think about the future. And even though we're not necessarily trying to disclose anything new, do you have anything, and maybe I'll even frame it around, do you think we'll get up to maybe 40 fabulous templates? Or anything you might want to share about the future?
That would be awesome. We'll be starting out with these 8 in product so far, but we are constantly listening to feedback. We do plan to release more templates for more scenarios. The lookbook already has some great options, even more than the 8 that we're starting with. And so continuing to grow and expand our gallery is something that's really important to us. And then we are exploring some other factors such as admin controls just to make the experience feel more robust and give you the capability to really control the experience for your organization's tenant.
Of course, that is great to hear. And I think the community, if you deliver 32 more templates, the community is going to just say, ha, I knew they were going to do the Fab 40 again. Well, I think it's great work. I think our customers are probably already loving it by the time there's a lot of people already using the templates as you're starting to release them. But thank you for coming on the IntraZone. Thank you for the work around templates, the craft, and everything you do to make the SharePoint experience a great one for our customers.
Thanks so much. It was awesome talking with you.
I always enjoy having Nicole on the show. She is deeply engaged in all things SharePoint and very attuned to what it is that people want. And from those early days of the lookbook to now it's being delivered in product, it's leaps and bounds in helping you get started with creating your site, maintaining them over time, and changing them if you want to a new site template, to a new design. So it's really great to hear a lot more about what Nicole and the team are doing. Now I want to take a second to pull us away from features that are being released to showcase a new opportunity if you want to go a little bit deeper into Microsoft Lists. We have a number of upcoming Microsoft Lists virtual workshops. This will be held each day between May 10th and the 14th in 2021, so just around the corner. The workshop is titled Go Further with Microsoft Lists. These are Microsoft delivered. They are free. There are 5 of them total, and they're offered across various time zones. Just pick your time zone and join in. We've got a lot of great presenters from the product team, and they're ready to share all of their lists information. You can see how lists evolve from SharePoint lists to empower individuals and teams to create, share, and track information, including innovations right inside Microsoft Teams. We will teach you how to use and create views, configure conditional formatting, adjust forms, and more. Plus, we will highlight extending lists with the integrated Power Platform and answer all frequently or infrequently asked questions. And in fact, you can submit a question in advance to the time zone region that you plan to attend, and we'll make sure to cover it. Make sure that the presenters know what your question is. So get ready to become a Microsoft Lists Pro for free. Learn all you can about Microsoft Lists. This is your smart information tracking app in Microsoft 365, waiting for you to learn, connect, and get inspired. Register today at aka.ms/mslists/workshop. Again, that's aka.ms/mslists/workshop. Upcoming Microsoft Lists virtual workshops, May 10th through the 14th, 2021. So now let's get back on track and talk a little bit about teamwork. And even though I was just talking about the Microsoft Lists workshops that are coming up, most of all of the teamwork section is all about innovations that are now landing in Microsoft Lists. First is Microsoft Lists for iOS. We're bringing iPad support. You can now track what matters most from the comforts of a larger touchscreen device. We're pleased to share that the Microsoft Lists for iOS now supports iPad, aka no more lists at 2x. You'll get a beautiful native experience to track, manage, and share your information. With the extra screen real estate, you can easily search for lists, list items, and tap directly into your favorite and recent lists directly from the home screen. Lists looks great in both portrait and landscape modes, and it mirrors the list web experience blended with the common design of iOS. Once you're in a list, you'll swipe up and down, left to right to navigate your list. You'll be able to tap into a specific item to see its full view form, and you can refine the view of information using filter, group by, and tapping into individual fields to make changes from drop-down menus or enter text. So get the Microsoft Lists for iOS today, and now you can use it on your iPhone and your iPad. And as a reminder to Android fans, of which I am also an Android daily driver user, Microsoft Lists for Android is on track to be delivered by the end of calendar year 2021. Next up, around Microsoft Lists is more for admins. You can now manage Microsoft Lists for iOS using InTune App Protection Policies, APP. The Microsoft Lists iOS app is now configurable as a public app in InTune App Protection Policy through the Microsoft Endpoint Manager Admin Center. This allows the app to be targeted to ensure that the data access is protected by app protection policies. The app now also supports conditional access deployment through Azure Admin Portal. Please note that the Require App Protection policy is supported, which provides a higher level of assurance. The Lists app, however, doesn't currently support Require Approved Client App grant access. We have a lot of great details and information and documentation, so you can learn more how to enable InTune app protection policies for lists for iOS in your organization. The next one you have to visualize because it's a very visual feature for lists. Microsoft Lists, you can now visualize the data with Power BI. We're excited to announce the arrival of a new guided experience in Lists that makes it easy for you to create business intelligence reports in Power BI using your list data as the source. List users will see a new menu option in the Integrate menu. You just go Integrate, Power BI, and then click on Visualize this list. This allows you to create a new Power BI report using the list. With just one click, you'll be able to auto-generate a basic report, and then you can further customize the list columns that are showing in the report. To take it even further, if you know Power BI or are willing to learn, you can go into edit mode and make the dashboard of your dreams directly using the list data. Once the report is saved and published, it will appear in that same submenu within the Integrate menu, right under where you can create another report. Under Power BI, whatever you named your report, you'll see it appear there and you can jump right to it to see it whenever you want. A few licensing notes. Users with a Microsoft 365 E5 license or a Power BI Pro license will have access to the full report authoring and viewing experience. Users without either of those licenses will be prompted by Power BI to sign up for a 60-day free trial of Power BI Pro when they attempt to save a new report or edit or view an existing report. You can turn off self-service sign-up so that the option for a trial is not exposed to list users. Users with a Power BI free license may only visualize their list data but cannot publish nor view reports. So we have a lot of great documentation, both how to use this and some of the licensing implications for who can use it and what their experience will be. We hope you love this new way to visualize data from lists directly into Power BI. And now on to related technology, starting with OneDrive. We're excited to announce that the 64-bit OneDrive Sync client for Windows is now available for public preview. This has been a long-awaited and highly requested feature. You can now download the 64-bit version for use with OneDrive Work, School, and Home accounts. Note, if you have a 64-bit operating system with an x64-based processor, you can choose to install either of the 32-bit or 64-bit OneDrive. For ARM64 devices, you should continue to use the 32-bit OneDrive. The highlight, though, is computers running 64-bit versions of Windows generally have more resources such as processing power and memory. And of course, that's carried over when you're using the 64-bit version of OneDrive Sync. So get Windows ready to do some chomping at the bit, or bytes, or however many things you have to throw at it. Try it out today. I think you'll really love the experience. Sticking with OneDrive in the related technology, you can now exclude specific files from OneDrive Sync on macOS. This new feature setting will allow you to exclude newly added OneDrive files from syncing to the cloud by file name or extension on macOS devices. This setting lets you enter keywords to prevent the OneDrive Sync app from uploading certain files to OneDrive or SharePoint. You can enter complete names such as setup.exe or use the asterisk as a wildcard character to represent a series of characters such as asterisk .pst if you want to avoid uploading any of those email storage files, PST files. If you enable this setting, the Sync app doesn't upload new files that match the keywords you specified, and no errors appear for the skipped files, and the files remain in the local OneDrive folder. Great innovation, something that was only available on Windows is now coming to Mac OS. The last feature in the related technology, you'll now have new options for attachments in Outlook on the web. This is an updated experience when you receive email attachments. We're updating the look and content of the attachments and consolidating all the options under a single menu, similar to how you would see in Outlook for Mac and Outlook for Windows. What this means for you, audience of this podcast interested in all things OneDrive, primarily probably in the commercial space, is that you will see new options in this menu and in the attachment previewer for Word, Excel, and PowerPoint files to directly begin editing Office attachments in the corresponding browser or desktop app, beginning with the storage and collaboration in SharePoint in the Files platform, making it a single source of truth, not multiple versions of your file attachments. So if you start working with a file from email and you have and use OneDrive, you'll have this great new experience to be able to start doing that in the right place and be able to start sharing things as a link as you start to respond or share even further. Great new option, really trying to minimize the amount of versions that you have as attachments in the email repository and moving that to where all of your content lives in the content service of SharePoint. Time to close your eyes and visualize the new future, kind of like a list in Power BI. This is going to be a list of two, not using Power BI. We're going to be using the power of your mind's eye. Here are two teasers for what's coming up in May 2021. Teaser number 1, SharePoint Auto News Digest is getting some updates. That's news that rolls up and gets even more personalized and even more intelligent as it lands as a reminder of things that you might have missed directly into your inbox. Teaser number 2, you'll be able to migrate content from Google to Microsoft 365. This is following on the footsteps of the Box capabilities based on some of the Mover technology based on that acquisition. This is now bringing Google migration into the SharePoint Admin Center Migration Manager. And that's it with this month's Crystal Ball. You can clear your mind and just get on with your May. We'll share more details and other updates within the full SharePoint Roadmap Pitstop May 2021 edition next month. We've added a list of important resource links in the show notes and in the corresponding blog post on the Microsoft Tech community within the SharePoint community blog, giving you all that you need to get up to speed and stay ahead. I hope you've enjoyed this Roadmap Pit Stop. It's now time to relax knowing that you are all caught up for this great month of April. If anything still leaves you scratching your head with open questions or concerns, please send us your thoughts and comments to the intrazone@microsoft.com. We are here to put both our and your best change management foot forward. Until next month, the Blue Jays and I say we'll hear you again to share what's flighting next into SharePoint and related tech in Microsoft 365.